Still, still killing me. My back is absolutely horrendous right now. I don't know what's going on, but I'm young. Shouldn't be too long until I make a full recovery, but yeah, guys, I am struggling, but not struggling too much where I can't at least do a live. I find that these lives are my balance, right? If I can't, yo, what's good, Tuscan? How we doing? If I can't make time to make videos, I can almost always make time to do a live. And I felt that especially tonight since I'm off work. And I'm like, dude, what are you gonna do? Like, watch TV? What are you gonna watch a movie, play video games, or are you gonna chop it up with the boys, make some progress, build your community? Like, what's more important to you? So I was just like, dude, just fucking go for it. Let's go for it. But my back is killing me, so I don't know how long I'll do a live tonight. But I appreciate you guys popping out, and it's good to get back and rolling. I'm hoping that we can get back to that routine of doing a live at least every other night. Also, I got to get back into the gym. I got to get back on the grind, bro, taking care of my body physically. But anyways, all that being said, TCG, fuck, I'm brain farting right now. BCTCG, what's good? Anthony, what it do? What's good? Butt sauce, how we doing? Anthony, I recently started a YouTube inspired by your content. Dude, we need nothing but new content creators. The space is dominated by the wrong type of content, in my opinion. And the right type of content, right? I think there's some people who've risen above the ranks that deserve it. But I think a lot of it is just the algorithm and the type of content baiting people into it. So I'm hoping if you are starting a channel, you'll try and keep it real. I think more and more people are going to gravitate towards that style of content, of just people talking casually about the hobby and not having to be right or wrong about pricing of certain cards or certain boxes, because that seems to be the entire discussion right now. What we should be talking about is why people should be collecting certain cards that they enjoy, what's going to be something to collect that is not going to be available, right? Like, we have someone in our Discord who's big on the Burger Chew, right? That McDonald's Japanese promo Pikachu. And it's like, you get it now while you can. Do you really think that these are not going to be available a year from now? There's still going to be PSA 10s on eBay. I mean, there's a chance that it could skyrocket. And that's the other thing. Right now, we're in a more speculative bubble than we've ever been. 3 minutes in, and I just dropped a fucking golden nugget of truth. We are in the peak of gambling behavior right now. And you know, I've been wrong before, but I don't feel like how I could be wrong on this. It feels like we're very close to the peak right now. And I think this affects modern cards more than it affects vintage cards, because vintage cards are old as fuck and you can't find them anymore. And there's like, 200 or less PSA 10 vintage grails, or there's 600 or less PSA 9 grails. It's like, there's, even with PSA 8, PSA 9, PSA 10, all the grades together of the higher near mint grades for a lot of vintage grail cards, the population is so low, it makes sense those prices might hold. But for stuff that's super modern, I think people have got to get their head out of the sand on modern right now. But you know what? That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I still collect modern. I still love modern. But right now, I'm just like, if I have any cards that are modern, that are hyped up cards, I'm getting rid of them right now. I'm waiting for my Salamence EX pile to really, I'm waiting for that probably to hit around $700, and then I'm probably going to unload all of my 10s of that card, but and keep one. But yeah, right now I think people could get really burned, but nobody cares, right? Everyone wants, it's good to make your own mistakes. I will say that. Doesn't matter what I say or what anybody else says, only you can figure out what's best for you in your collection. And for me, I think I'm okay with taking the risk on very expensive older vintage cards, because I'm like, even if I overpay, when's the next one gonna pop up? Like, when am I gonna have another shot at this? That's real, right? That's like, I like to call that justified FOMO. Anyways, I'll stop talking about it. There's so many cards I still want that I'm just struggling to figure out how I'm going to get. Randy, show us the Gengar, bro. Okay. I don't know. Are we talking about the Skyridge Gengar? We still talking about Skyridge Gengar? We'll pull that out. But we do have the Sabrina's Gengar, which is really nice. And we also have the Gengar Mimikyu GX, but we'll pull out this level X because this is nice as well. I do have some modern Gengars, though. But yeah, these are my vintage Gengars. Now we get the Skyridge as a 10, the Sabrina's a 9. I'd like to get the Sabrina in a 10, but honestly, the Sabrina's Gengar in a 9 is really good value right now. Like, Sabrina's Gengar in a 10 is going for like 15 to 20,000, whereas you can get the 9 for probably 1,500 to 2,000. I honestly think that's pretty good. This one has a really nice swirl on it. I don't know if we'll be able to see that, but it has a really nice swirl on this copy. This is a freshly graded 9. These freshly graded 9s are very, like, dude, look at how glossy that hollow is. I don't know if y'all can see that well, but these freshly graded 9s are super, super clean. I mean, it's a tough discussion. Like, should you go for a PSA 10? You know, a vintage PSA 10, is it worth it? Is it worth the hype? I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I love the Skyridge Gengar, so I had to get this Gengar. Is it worth the hype? I don't know. And then you have this Gengar Level X I picked up for 40 bucks, and it's only a PSA 7, but I appreciate it so much just because it was fun and it was cheap to collect. And I'm struggling right now with what I want to do with my collections. I'm like, do you want to push for PSA 10s from here? Or are we going to stick with 9s and chill out? Or am I going to consolidate everything and go for just PSA 10s? I'm struggling on what my next moves are going to be. So I actually have not bought anything super recently. But I have a lot of big cards coming in the mail. BC, I had that same month-long cold you mentioned. Oil of oregano got rid of it for me. Oil of oregano. Okay. Oil of oregano. Randy, show us that Gengar. Yeah, let me know if that was the Gengar you wanted to see. I do love this Skyridge. This Skangar. The Skanky Gengar. The Skyridge Gengar is absolutely magnificent, and I am super lucky to have this card in my collection. I now know of 2 other collectors that have these that are not planning on getting rid of them. So, and I would like to work out a big trade to get another Skyridge Gengar in a 10, but it's probably not going to happen. Random guy, how we doing? Butt sauce. That's the first Dahmer comment of the day. Let's see how many we get by the end of the night. That and Harry Potter. Oh, Desmond, look like Dahmer. It's okay. Tuscan, I'm getting fed up with modern market with Pokemon. Yeah, I'm just like, dude, PSA 9 Grail cards for 1,000. A modern card and PSA 10 for 1,000. I don't know. It's not a tough decision for me. Danimals, it will impact everything that has gone up, vintage and modern alike. You have a strong bias. I do have a strong bias, and it is solely based on low pop. It is solely based on low pop. I don't see some of these cards going down, man. I don't see it. But hey, fingers crossed. I could get burned. I'm not going to stand here and say that and have no humility and say that I might not get burned. Tuscan, people are just spending stupid money on cards, myself included. I remember buying Moonbreon for 110, and I felt like I overpaid for it. Buying Moonbreon for 110, oh yeah, you must have bought Moonbreon right after it came out. That had to be right after it came out. And that had to be raw for sure. Pikachu, interesting. Fortress, show us the Glizzy Gobbler. Let me see that PSA 9 band gang. The Glizzy Gobbler. All right, well, the Glizzy Gobbler. Oh, you're so silly. I will say, so my critique on the Sabrina Gengar is that, you know, the amount of hollow is amazing, but I will say the actual Gengar, They could have made him a little bit bigger in the frame. I think that would have been really cool to see more detail there. But other than that, the Sabrina's Gengar is almost superior to the Skyridge Gengar, I gotta say. With the watercolor style versus just the flat kind of dark purplish gray. It's an interesting color. Like, what do you call this color that's on the Skyridge Gengar? It's very interesting. Like, what exactly is that? It's more of a gray, in my opinion, than anything. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Gee, how we doing? Randy, how come Skyridge Gengar has a fireball? How come some Skyridge Gengar have a fireball on his hand? That's a hollow thing I think you're talking about. There's one listed that has a hollow orb in his hand. And there was a 9 that sold for a whopping 7,100. So, and there was another copy in a 9 that just sold for 6,300, which sucks. Sucks for me, honestly. That's not great news. Great for whoever got that. It had a beautiful swirl. I was watching that Skyridge Gengar. It did have a very obvious top edge clip. It had a pretty bad clip on the top edge, but whoever bought it's going to be happy. They paid 6.3, which is crazy, right? It was like 2-3K and a 9, just like yesterday, but times are changing quickly. Anyways, they got it with a swirl for 6.3. That was awesome. Discard, how we doing? I buy CGC 8.5s for mint copies of vintage. That could be a great way to get some cheap cards. I mean, really, especially if you don't care about the grading company. Aaron, have you ever been scammed? Oh, I've been scammed plenty of times, but people never get away with it. Official Squirtle Squad, what up, Ryan? What's poppin'? Yo, what's good? What's nice about becoming like a pretty decent eBay seller is like whatever you have to deal with, typically if you really try to do the right thing and like handle it properly and as professionally as possible, there's like no way really you could get screwed over, because eBay also doesn't want to lose their good sellers. So in my experiences, even if I had problems, eBay always sided with me. So I don't know. Knock on wood. Anthony, crazy to think people who actually bought the Peak this summer are actually doing well. Well, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Destined Rivals just absolutely fucking blows my mind. It's like, well, it shouldn't blow your mind. It was the best set to come out for the year pretty much, but was it? And also, is the jump really warranted, or do you guys think this is pure manipulation? Because I talked about it in video, but I definitely want to know, like, I asked what you guys thought about that in the Discord. Nobody really commented much on that, other than it could be easily manipulated. What do you guys think about Destined Rivals? Do you think that price jump from 250, 300 to 500, 600, 700 maybe now, maybe even more overnight? Who knows? What do you guys think about that? Honestly. Also, there is a Pokemon card thief that just got caught, so I'll probably talk about that a little bit in the next video. And there is a movement in the hobby, in the community right now. I think the Collector app or something, the Collector on Instagram, they're talking about how they want to do something, they want to fund kids getting booster boxes or booster packs, handing out booster packs at events or something. A really, really good cause for the kids to actually be able to get product. I think that's really cool. So I'd like to hear more about that. I might not talk about it, but might wait till I read a little bit more about what they're doing to help, younger kids get stuff in this hobby. Because that is the reality that right now, it's more likely that kids and their parents are scalping product together and then reselling it. I see posts of stuff like that, and I'm not sure whether to be happy that the kid is learning like a hustle, or whether to be upset that like that's being taught. But I feel like that's the reality. The kids are more looking to just flip it and find something lucrative, just like we adults do, instead of just buying to rip. Right? Are people even buying to rip anymore? Are you guys buying to rip open product? I need to know all of this from you guys. Connor, You have so many Pokemon cards in the back. How much do you think they're all cost? Oh, they're not worth anything. They're just, this is all display stuff. It's not worth much. It's the stuff in my briefcases that's worth stuff. Market, how we doing? Tuscan, it was right when it came out. Yeah, it must have been. Fortress, do you have the Japanese? I do not have the Japanese banned one. I know the graveyard in the background. Very cool. Official Squirtle Squad. I sold some good cards I didn't care about to my LCS for $90. He didn't know the Petra Runt promo was actually a Pokemon Center, so he shorted me $30. I went back, but I've got 155 in store credit. Nice. Dr. Rocket, how we doing? James, what's good? What's good? Thank you for becoming a level 2 and supporting me so much. Bro Rocket, you see my latest cop? Yeah, he got that Gengar. He got that Sugimori Gengar. Let's see. Oh, damn, working at the hospital since 5:30. That's rough. Official Squirtle Squad, nice. Yeah, get stuff. So get stuff you actually care about, for sure. Goat Manjaro, I pulled a Prismatic Evolution God pack last night on my first pack. Posted in the Discord. First pack magic. Dude, congratulations. Congratulations on a Prismatic God pack. Man, when Prismatic came out, that was absolute nuttiness, right? Wish I could buy it to rip. Wave, you can't even buy it to rip. Official Squirtle Squad, and then I sold the bulk EX cards. Ball player, here's a question. Why is there even a question of morality on whether you buy to invest, flip, or rip? I don't know, guys. I'm sorry. I have really bad anxiety, so I bite at my fingers. What do you guys think about that? Why is there, just look in the chat. Take a look at that. I mean, that's a really good question. Why is there even a question of morality on whether you buy to invest, flip, or to rip? Right? It's your money. You can do what you want with it. And it's kind of interesting. It's like, well, people should rip because the cards were made to be ripped. But these days, that narrative has changed a lot. On top of that, it is so expensive that it's hard to rip open a $4 pack, right? A $3 pack is hard, let alone a $5 pack basically now. It's hard to justify opening that up. So it's almost easier to just say, we don't know what's inside, but I know the value of this stored is better. So let me just keep this as an investment. I mean, it's nothing that you should feel bad about. I don't think that investing is a bad thing. And I don't think it's really a question of morals. I think that that's just how things are right now, but I don't think it's a question of morals. I just think it sucks. I just think it sucks that it's not how it used to be. That's what sucks the most, is that it's not how it used to be. It used to be, if you wanted to invest in it, you do you, right? We're going to rip and enjoy it. You invest in it. The product is fairly affordable. So you could do both, really, and it didn't matter. But now prices are getting to a point where it's kind of tough to justify opening products. So investing is even more pushed now because it does make more sense than you open 3 booster packs and you're down $15, right? You might get nothing. You could open 10 and get nothing, right? It's a huge gamble. So the investment side of it is a little bit more sustainable in some respects. But I don't know. It's also like there's so many people that just want to open up packs. And so it takes away from them. When the people who are investing, a lot of people don't understand that they're like, sealed is such a pushed thing right now that's, I think, where there's a moral dilemma, is that it's kind of misleading. Like, yes, it can go up in value, but so many other single cards can go up in value like that. Yeah, I don't know. Great question, though. I buy to rip, ripped a box and 30 sleeve packs of Mega, entered a tournament on release day and won half a booster box. So I opened 84 packs day 1. Dude, nice. I play, so getting cards early helps for the game in my hand. I did pull the Mega Venusaur EX SAR and it's minty. Crazy lucky, man. That's dope for you. Motivating Megas are like $8 to $10. Good deal. I don't know whether to rip or buy singles anymore with fucking horrible pull rates in the new era, especially. So I don't know. And that's a fair point. Wavy. Yes, I just got back into the hobby and a lot of these English boosters, 400 plus, but I guess that's on me for taking a step away from it. No, that's not entirely on you for taking a step away from it. I mean, you can take a step away and come back, and a lot of stuff can be up, but a lot of the stuff that's come out in the past year, in my opinion, 1 year is where things maybe should start cooking. For boxes to already double, triple in price within a couple of months, even let's say 4 months, right? Because I said, Destined Rivals came out like 2 months ago. Destined Rivals came out about 4 months ago. Is 4 months enough time for it to shoot up like that? Random guy, how we doing? Hi. Discard V, thanks for sharing my message. I posted decks and pulls on my YouTube. Nice. Chevy's 5-speed, how are we doing tonight? We are chopping it up. We're chopping it up. And if you guys have other really good questions, feel free, pop them in the Discord. This is what we're all about. We talk about the hobby. We try to get an idea of, what, more people want to hear about and content that I can make that would be beneficial. And that's a point that I can make that I think it's like, oh, you're an investor, you're a bad guy. It's that is not a narrative that I want to push at all. I just think there's maybe a better way of going about it. And there is that, there may be somewhat, a lot of us are ignorant to this because we're grown-ass men and we want to collect and we want to find product in stores. Because it's like, well, we're probably collecting more than the kids are, but the kids are still collecting this stuff. It's kind of like, oh, well, they don't matter. They don't take care of it. They don't treat it like an investment. It doesn't matter to them. It's almost like, it'll be in the wrong hands if it goes to a kid. But like, this hobby was built around childhood and nostalgia and growing up with it. And maybe we're losing sight of that a little bit. So I think it'd be good to find some way to make sure, and that's what this collector app or someone on Instagram posted it, that they were going to be funding and helping get packs to the kids. Now, this also could be a way to promote their own business and sound charitable, but I still think it's a step in the right direction to basically buy booster boxes from vendors that are giving all the packs away to kids. I think it's something along the lines of that. Gabriel, I appreciate Jesus loves you. But yeah, I want to hear what you guys have to say about that. Ball player, I appreciate your ability to look at it from a different perspective. I've been collecting for 10 plus years and things have significantly changed. And ball player, I mean, if you can lend your perspective on things too, I mean, that's the thing, is like everything in this space is different perspectives and ideologies and theories and opinions, and a lot of this is really just speculation at the end of the day. That is where I want to say it's an ethical thing. A lot of this is speculation at the end of the day, and at the end of the day, you can speculate all you want about where this card might end up, right? I know I've been peeking the gengars out tonight, but you can speculate where this card is going to end up all you want. But there's only so many of them, and it's not just that. It's not just that. I have the card. Same thing with this level X Gengar. It's worth a lot more now in a PSA 7 than it was when I bought it for $40 raw. But that's really, truly a lot of appreciation for a card, and then grading, buying boxes that could be reprinted and go back to MSRP, or we have a recession and prices pull back in a big way. That's extremely risky when you think about it. But I don't want to piss off people that are into, just investing part of it. I think there's a place for everybody, and you're not going to grow in this space if you're going to condemn any one style of collecting. But I think we can all agree that the investment talk in this hobby has gotten a little bit redundant and overplayed. And people, I think, are starting to resent those that have versus those that have not. Right? Like if your friend said, hey, we got the pre-order of the new Pokemon box, you might be a little bit salty that you didn't get it, right? Because that's how crazy things are right now. And the person who got it might say, yeah, I'm just going to let this sit in my closet. Whereas the person who wanted it was going to say, damn, I really wanted to open this box. I wanted the cool promos inside, and boo-hoo, cry me a river. But there are people that genuinely really want this product to open. And for me, it's so hard to not empathize a little bit and think, because I've been there. I remember when I wanted to open stuff. I don't want to open nearly as much because I know that you can get burned very easily. But yeah, definitely interested in reading up on all of these. Coffee snacks. Any specific Pokemon slabs that you were sad to sell away from your collection? Oh man, so many. It was tough for me to sell my duplicate. I had a Gold Star Rayquaza in a BGS 9. That was extremely hard for me to let go of that card. And looking back, maybe a bit terrible mistake. I regret getting rid of a lot of my alt art duplicates because those shot up in price. I regret getting rid of my full arts because, full arts right now are going nuts. But mainly I just regret getting rid of them because I didn't make that much money selling them. It really wasn't worth it. I just wish I had those cards back. The art was great. I've talked about these before, but the Dark Explorers Groudon full art and the Dragons Exalted Rayquaza full art. Those were some of my favorite cards, and those amongst a lot of other full arts that I sold off. I kind of miss those, but I rolled that money into my dream cards. So I've always been doing vintage, but I've faltered here and there. I've FOMO'd into sealed investing. I've FOMO'd into buying alt arts and modern when I thought the price was right, and when I thought it might jump up again in price, and I might lose my window if I don't jump in now. But in Pokemon, for the most part, everything kind of goes up similarly. I feel like you can't really make a bad decision in this hobby as long as you're buying pretty popular products or cards. But yeah, I mean, it's always hard. For me personally, it's always hard to let go of stuff. If I made enough money where I just amassed more and more and more cards, that's probably what I would continue doing. But I can't do that, so now I'm selling a bunch of my stuff. Take, for instance, this stack. I was going to grade this entire stack of vintage cards. We got stamped cards, and we got stuff from all the older eras. I was going to grade all of this, guys. I had plans of grading all of these. And more, I'm just like, bro, just be real. Like, a lot of these are PSA 7, PSA 8, maybe some PSA 9s. You might as well just sell them raw. So it sucks. It sucks. It really sucks. Like, it's not just slabs. I'm having a really tough time letting go of the cards. But that's one of the best ways you can level up in this hobby. If you've been in it for a couple years, is selling what you have, rolling it into the next thing. Kenneth, I'm up 128% on money spent in 1 year. Not one dime spent on secondary market or overly priced product. Staying patient. Hit PC drops when possible. Buying cheap cards for the Pokedex. It shows. Nice, Kenneth. It sounds like you've got a good strategy there. Squirrel Squad. This hobby is fucking expensive. I question my wallet and where it's going, but I think I'll always love the hobby no matter. Might just stick to singles. Singles are always good. Christian, how we doing? God bless. Wavy, I'm all for charity. I'm all for charity at this point. Cassie, I like the Pokemon cards you have. I appreciate it. Official Squirtle Squad, you ever thought about back to the Sun and Moon era, Sword and Shield era, people slept on sets. Now it's like Pokemon releases banger set after another, and they all go wild compared to the older generation sets. I think in hindsight, it's going to look very similar in a couple of years. I think people are going to look back and be like, man, megas were so crazy, and now like we don't really care about the set anymore. I definitely think Mega Evolutions is a pretty well-rounded set, but I think it's going to end up maybe being an afterthought after a couple of months. My sights, and I feel like many other sites, are set on the Phantasmal Flames set. I think that's what people are waiting for big time right now. But I definitely agree with you. Sword and Shield and Sun and Moon did not have nearly the kind of hype that I feel like. No, and that, those had a lot of hype too because it was the COVID time. So there was a lot of hype there, but I think that in general, the hobby didn't have as much popularity and as much demand. It was really just the conditions of the market, the macroeconomic stuff. COVID kept everyone stuck inside. I mean, I, for one, was watching YouTube and streamers and PokeRev opening packs nonstop. That was a lot of my YouTube time during COVID. So for me, that's what threw me back into the hobby, was watching these guys open packs, kind of reliving my own childhood vicariously through them, and now doing it myself. Victor, how we doing? Cassie, how much is Pikachu? How much is Pikachu? Pikachu is priceless. You cannot put a price on my Pikachu. My Pikachus are not for sale. But it really depends. You gotta get specific with me on what kind of Pikachu we're talking about. But man, Pikachu is priceless. Burger Chew, popping off like crazy. The Pikachu with the Gengar Chew, right? That we like to call the Chinese exclusive, popping off like crazy. I think the Pikachu Chinese exclusive before that, popping off like crazy. Anthony, good question. For me, it's unanswerable. Oh, wow. Holy shit. How did I miss that? Anthony, I'm so sorry. If someone offered you 200% cash for your entire collection under the condition that you never collect again, would you take it? Whoa. So basically, you're talking this is almost like if you sign a contract, a legal contract with someone, which would be very hard to try and enforce something like that. So it'd be very interesting who would be able to. You would have to have some. You'd have to know some scary people to, I feel like, to be able to tell someone they can't buy another Pokemon card the rest of their life. But 200%. So that would make me an overnight millionaire. Which would be cool because then I could tell people I'm a millionaire, which would be cool. And that's just about all it would be until after a while it would just become something that I'm embarrassed about. Because nobody wants to hear that you're a millionaire. That anybody that says nah, bro, I want to hear you killing it. Nobody wants to hear that shit. It's much cooler if you have $1 million Pokemon card collection. And that's something that I personally have come to believe, that you're a badass if you have $1 million Pokemon collection. You're an asshole if you have $1 million in the bank and you think Pokemon cards are lame. So there's the big difference there for me. I think if I sold everything, I would be a sellout. And everything I've been doing the past couple years would have just been me lying to myself. So, no, I could not take 200%. I could not let someone bully me into submission, not collecting cards again. But I'll tell you one thing. That's a really good question. And honestly, kind of wild. If you have crazy money and you're trying to monopolize and you have some of the biggest vendors and collectors sign contracts that they won't work with anybody who finds cards or sources cards, basically buy out your competition. Anyways, that would be such a crazy thing. I don't think anything like that would ever happen. And I don't think it would be money well spent to try and buy someone out and then have them never collect again. But in some weird world where I could make a wish and a fairy would come and grant me one wish, if I could get 200% of my Pokemon collection, but I can never collect cards again. I don't know, man. I mean, if family should come first, but honestly, I just don't know where I would go from there. Pokemon's become a lot of my time and this community and doing streams, it's become a big part of my life. So that would definitely become a big moral dilemma. of like, where would I go from here now? Can I live like I used to? Can I go back to just not having a hobby that I'm like fully into? In a lot of ways, Pokemon has kept me grounded and kept me from making other worse, poorer decisions. Flip Wilson, I have cards from 99. Would they be worth anything? They could be. They could be. You should definitely try and get those priced. Victor, how we doing? Noah, how's that Pokemon? The Pokemans are doing good. Bye, Jabe. I have an error card. Should I just throw it? Definitely throw it. You should definitely toss that thing hard against the wall. Market Scraper, he remembers the Orb Quaza. Wavy, like the stream, guys. Double tap that screen. I really would appreciate that, but also, I'm glad some people are in here. Squirtle Squad, it's not all about worth at the end. Think about when you were a kid, you bought an expensive card but didn't sleeve it or take care of it. You'll get that same expensive card, but you have to protect it now. Yeah, it was a different time. And we've gotten so far away from the simplicity of it all. Like, I can't believe I'm collecting graded cards, guys. There was a while where I was like just binders, booster boxes, buying raw singles. And then people gradually got me into the game of like, but there's only this many of these in the world. I have a one of one. Like the haves and have-nots thing. And while I didn't really care as much about that, it was the numbers and the statistics were satisfying. That's the best way I could put that. 93 or 95 of this in the entire world. And I'm one of the owners. Less than 100 of us in the entire world. One of the best gengars of all time. There's some clout there. There's some respect there. There's some like undeniable respect there that, as time goes on, right now, this could be a crazy card to have bought for $25,000. Oh, I cringe when I say that. I just wanted this card so badly. But what you're buying is, hey, I have one of very few in the world. So I think I got kind of corrupted, if you will. I was when I was first starting out as a collector, I was kind of easily impressionable. People could plant ideas in my head about certain cards or a certain way of collecting, and I would kind of run with it. But I kind of always regressed, and I went back to my old ways of like, nah, I like collecting all the raw cards, right? I don't give a shit about graded cards. I can have 1 million raw cards, but I can only get one. I can only afford to buy one of these graded cards. That just doesn't seem right. But it's just different. A lot of these raw cards, I look at them now, I see that there's flaws. There's these little things here and there. When you get to a certain point as a collector, you want to level up your collection. That stuff really matters to you. Anyways, to answer that, to go back to that, yes, we get to the point where we want to protect them because they are so valuable, and that's the time we're living in. Flip Wilson, maybe I'll just hold on to them. Sounds like they'll be worth something. They're worth your childhood. That should be priceless. Bow, I have an error. Should I throw this away? If you have an error, keep it. Maybe list it. Hold on to it. Bully Madison, what up, Big Orion? Yo, what's up? What's up, boy? Ball player. People are definitely jealous for understandable reasons. But I could also cry about not buying Bitcoin at 60K too. Investing has only become a thing of late simply due to the rise of sealed in cards. Official Squad. It's like I almost want to collect a kit again. No sleeves, buy whatever I want, not caring about condition, or if it gets a little ding or whatever. I love that. Now all I worry about is condition. That is a really, really good point that I think a lot of people can relate to is just like caring so much. Like, dude, I mean, with my graded pile, like sleeving them, the fucking buying nice sleeves, buying these, these not top loaders, card savers, right? All that stuff adds up, but we do it because, now we have to really be careful with these things, right? But yeah, I totally can relate to just throwing them in a box and not giving a fuck. Um, Boovnish. Do you have planes? I got hella planes. I got a airstrip in the backyard. I've got about 3 carrier planes there. What do you call those? C-130. I have a C-130 in my backyard. It has about 10 pallets of Pokemon cards. I would show you guys. I would show you, but it's late. It's dark out. So yeah, maybe next time. Dr. Rocket, how are you looking at having some having some passive income? Yes, so the rental income, I'm excited. We're basically 25 days away from another $2,200 payment. I'm not gonna lie, I'm soaking it up. It feels good. It feels good to have made that accomplishment. And so 12-month lease, that's 24,000. 12 times $200, that's another 2,400. 26,400. Now I'm going to have to report taxes as well. So let's just take out 30% just for good measure, right? So take out like 8 grand, still $18,000 I'm going to bring in this year. Now I still have to pay the mortgage on the other house, which is pretty insignificant, honestly. But yeah, $18,000. And that's right now. We could increase the rent maybe next year, amend our lease a little bit, or change it. I guess I should say update it. But I feel pretty good about that. Is it offsetting the amount of money I'm spending? Absolutely not. I need to get a game plan together fast, because I'm about to get hit with some very pricey interest payments on my credit card, or at least I think so. Diana said something about if you make the minimum payment, which I always make the payments. I'm just talking about like, I want to get that thing paid off quickly. But she was like, if you make the minimum payments, you don't pay interest. I'm like, that can't be right. I'm still going to get hit with a ton of interest, I'm sure. James, thoughts on the hobby leading up to after 30th anniversary? I think people think 30th anniversary, it's going to crash after that because it won't have the next thing. I don't know if it even matters what we have coming up anymore. Sanderhorn, you fucked my chances to meet people around the world. Oh, I'm sorry. The card baron, sneakerheads destroyed their own market and moved to Pokemon. Now that's a very real thing. That we've definitely noticed that. Jace, but I don't think you can blame it solely on sneakerheads. But because I was a sneakerhead, I can confirm that happened. My brother is in the hospital. His name is, well, I don't know. I'm not going to say that name. People are always trolling me with certain names to say. So I'm just, if your brother is actually in the hospital, Godspeed. Francisco Gonzalez. Bro, I was at a card show and had $250 to spend. And the same guy that would do most Origin and Prismatic, same price, $250 for 2 Prismatic ETBs or 2 Lost Origin. I took the Lost Origin. What would you have taken? I wouldn't spend money on anything modern right now like that. But I think you did good taking the Lost Origin. Theo, what is the best Mr. Bean movie? I really liked the Mr. Bean movies. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what the best one was, but I enjoyed them as a kid. Red Rum, Red Eye, Logan Paul, plus Elijah Wood. Let's go. I appreciate you, Red Rum. I appreciate you. Card Baron, people will hate you for your success no matter what you think. Yeah. But there are going to be people that do want to learn from you and do want to actually grow, even if it hurts their ego a little bit. I just don't like it when people act like they know everything, right? It's just, it's the lack of the humility that I think fucks up my perception of people that are like moguls and like very successful entrepreneurs. I think they forget how to be in touch with the average day person. And because I'm a bartender, I never lose sight of that because I talk to the average person every day. Doctor, me and my family had to move away from Pokemon given the prices in Lorcana, but now that the TCG is hard to find, collect and play what you love. Thanks for your time tonight, brother. I appreciate that. I'm sorry you guys had to slow it down. The card Baron, 400 for Destined Rivals, Booster Box, or PSA 10 Vintage Low Pop Hollow. And I mean, I don't know how many PSA 10 Low Pop Hollows you can get for 400, but there's probably still some out there. PSA 9, so many good options though. Rec Time Sports, Shining Charizard in the back. Shining Charizard? Do I have a Shining Charizard in the back? No, I got a alt art. There's a Brilliant Stars alt art. That's my second copy that I have up there. I don't have guys, I don't put my nice cards on the display. I just don't. It's too much flex. It's try hard. Manuel, also I don't want them to get sun faded. Let's just be real. Manuel, thoughts on sports card investing right now that Wall Street is getting in on it? I think they're too late. I think they're already too late, to be honest. The card Baron, sports cards are undervalued while everyone is hyping Pokemon. And that tends to happen. Things shift around a little bit. Doctor, next phase of collection after graded cards is the original art of the cards. Absolutely, I love that. Dark Side, Philip, I have 6 of them, buddy. Sit down, little feller. I have 6 of them. I don't even know what 6 of them would be referring to. Probably talking about the airplanes. Oh, Daft Punk Around the World. Taryn Bana, have rats eaten your cards ever? That is not that's a great question, but no, I haven't dealt with that ever. The card Baron, I own the Antonov and 124 parked out back. Hey, can you shout out my little brother? It's his birthday today. Yo, shout out Mike, okay? Happy birthday, buddy. Danimals, that's not right, unfortunately. Have you not seen the leaked set list? 30th anniversary set is called Eternals. Huh. Fortress, if you make minimum payments, then no credit hit, interest will fuck you in that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what I figured. That's a good one. Good one, you fucker. I know you like it either way. Danimals, you have to fully clear your statement for the month to avoid interest. Yep. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. The card Baron, possibly a Ruby and Emerald set. That would be sick. Omega, yo, what's your favorite Pokemon game? Pokemon Emerald, for sure. I really liked Fire Red and Leaf Green, though. Those were fun. Heart Gold was a lot of fun. They're all different. Brian, who are the Pokemon 4 Horsemen? Interpret as you wish. The Pokemon 4 Horsemen. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, you'll have to explain how you want me to put that. Like, are you talking about you want to know like the 4 like foundational cards that I think everyone should aspire to have, or are you talking about like the 4 Horsemen, like the people in the hobby that are like the most influential? Because it's probably Pokevault, Pokerev, Pokerev. It looks like Phillips Collectibles. That dude came out of nowhere, it seems like. And, like, fucking, dude, his channel blew up. He's probably going to be huge in a couple of years. No, he's already huge. What am I talking about? And honestly, Kira. Kira is going to be big in this space. Pokey-Knee, he's pretty big. I think it's safe to say Opossum. Opossum's pretty big name in the space. We're talking about the big cards. Charizard, Pikachu, Lugia, Mewtwo. That's a pretty good answer. Yeah, dude, connecting the Game Boy to the GameCube was sick. Thoughts on Ninetales? Ninetales is a really cool mythical Pokemon. Could they have done way more with Ninetales? Yeah, they could have done way more with Ninetales. I think they could have had a lot cooler art for Ninetales. We never saw like a Ninetales Grail card, for instance. Um, I think the Obsidian Flames Ninetales, though, is a really amazing tribute to Ninetales. If we're going to talk about some of the best Ninetales artwork, the Obsidian Flames art is pretty good, right? I do have a first edition base set Ninetales and a PSA 9. I'm very proud of that card. It's very clean. Um, but I think Ninetales is cool. The nine-tailed fox, the mythology of it, the lore of it, the Japanese culture behind it. I think all of that's pretty sweet. Ninetales is my favorite. I would transfer Vulpix over and make it my starter. Dude, that's sick. Hell yeah. And I love that about the games. Just like trading and transferring over Pokemon to get them evolved. Like if you could pull that off, my hat's off to you. As a kid, I was always just like, if I found out I needed to transfer a Pokemon over or trade it, I was like, yep, nope. I can't run this Pokemon now. Running those Pokemon that you had to do that extra legwork for was, I wish I had that experience because I did not get to have that experience a lot. And I always had a dream that like, me and my friends will get together, we'll play Pokemon, we'll trade, it'll happen. And I had the cords, I had the cable link for it, right? But it just never happened. Yeah, it made Gengar a pain in the ass, right? Like we all, of course, wanted to run Gengar, but then you had to trade the Haunter, right? That's how it went. Favorite bird Pokemon? I've been asked this quite a few times. It is Articuno. And guys, as much as I don't want to cut the stream short, because honestly, it's going very well. I did promise Diana that we were going to spend some time together tonight. So we'll close it up in about 9 minutes. So if you guys have any other questions or want to talk about anything else, like stuff in the hobby that bothers you, stuff that you wish people would talk about, stuff that you feel you're passionate about, but nobody else seems to care about, now's the time. I'm here. I want to see what you guys have to say. My favorite bird Pokemon is Articuno, though. Hands down. I think it's just easy for me to go ahead and say it's Articuno. I remember when finding out which games had Ninetales and just buying those. Dragon Frontiers Ninetales is huge. That one is pretty nice. I'll give it to you. Funko Pops bother me. Yeah, I'm not gonna speak on Funko Pops. I know people like them. Honestly, I think the like Pokemon themed Funko Pops could be kind of cool. But it's like there's so much stuff you could put on your wall in Pokemon. You don't need to have Pops too, right? Like there's just so much stuff out there. You go to the store, even if they don't have cards, if they have a plushie that you like, if they have a Pokemon Jazzwares toy that you like, that's how much I love Pokemon, is that I buy childish shit. I buy overpriced childish shit. I don't just buy overpriced cards. I also buy all the other stuff because it just makes me happy. That's what I would have done as a kid. So I still try and uphold those values. When I see a really cool toy, I'm like, you deserve this. Buy that toy. Put it on the shelf. You're going to look at that toy more than you're probably going to look at most cards, right? That Lugia up there for $30 has given me more satisfaction than any of my first edition Lugias that I've gotten in the mail so far. But also, I haven't been totally 100% satisfied with those copies, so maybe the next Lugia will do it. Thoughts on Yu-Gi-Oh? I appreciate I'm subbing because you read the comments. I appreciate it. I mean, I always try to. I know I won't always be able to do that, the rest of my time on this channel, but hopefully, it stays like somewhat small where we have our community and it's easy to actually get to these chats. Do you like Yu-Gi-Oh? Thoughts on it? I love Yu-Gi-Oh. And I'm not even gonna say some of the cards I'm looking at because we're not gonna shed light on those right now. But I love Yu-Gi-Oh! I plan on making a move into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Scene very soon. I think it's going to help. One, it's going to help me recapture my childhood dreams in Yu-Gi-Oh! But two, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was really my first love in a TCG. It was not really Pokemon. Pokemon maybe was there first, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the first thing that I really got serious about. And I enjoyed playing it, and I have more memories with Yu-Gi-Oh! Than I do with Pokemon. Pokemon really was more about when I was with my family on trips, going to the beach, going camping, going on a school trip, sitting on the bus, going to school in the morning, playing Game Boy. That was where I really bonded with Pokemon. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a special place in my heart, and it could be risky to buy Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, we don't know where that franchise is going to be in another 10, 20 years. It could fizzle out. But I think if you really love the cards beyond the values, which Yu-Gi-Oh! Is really not cheap either. There's Yu-Gi-Oh! Is getting pretty expensive too. But if you love the art, who cares? And I love the art. It's just really hard to justify where that market's going to be in a couple of years. But so far, it's been really stable. But yeah, I'd like to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Soon. And that might also add another layer to the channel, a whole other community to the channel too. Fuck it, PSA raised their prices. I'm done greeting. Burger Chew to BGS, and that's it. Hey, we're still going off about that Burger Chew. Mr. Taco, hope you have a good night. I appreciate it. Paco, let me ask you something, bro. How does little Ditto lay eggs? Bro, I have no idea. That's somebody help a brother out. I like the anime and older era of the TCG. I've been playing Valkyries recently. Yeah, for me, if I do Yu-Gi-Oh, it's gonna be, it's gonna undoubtedly be vintage Yu-Gi-Oh for sure. Hands down, it's gonna be older Yu-Gi-Oh. T Beastie, what do you think about Team Rocket Joey moving into Lorcana investing? I got no issue with Team Rocket Joey. I think he's crushing it as a creator. Don't watch a whole lot of other creators' videos. It's more of a time thing than like if I would want to or not. Like if something pops up, I'll watch it, right? But him getting into Lorcana, that could be a huge play, right? That's contrarian, right? When someone says, you know what, this market's cooked, let's move into another market, that for investing, go for it. Me personally, I'm going to stay out of Lorcana because, again, I'm concerned with owning the cards that I really want in Pokemon. Same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, even if Yu-Gi-Oh! was completely dead right now, which it's not, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is rising, which has given me some confidence, I think, in it. But even if it wasn't, I've always said that I have plans. Once I complete most of my Pokemon goals, which seem never ending, which is why I should just buy a Yu-Gi-Oh! Grail card soon and just get my foot in the door of like, okay, I'm going to try and collect vintage Yu-Gi-Oh! And vintage Pokemon at the same time. This is craziness. Can also add a lot of community to the channel though. So I've thought about that too. Like that's what's strategic that Joey's doing. He's adding that whole group of people that collect Disney Lorcana. They're gonna come onto his channel. So it's very strategic. It's with TCGs, it's good to have your hands in a lot of things. But Pokemon is the path of least resistance, I've always said. So like if you're making content or you're collecting and you want to collect for value, it's easy to do that in Pokemon. The Agent Orange, I love collecting slabs and sealed. I'm trying to get out of debt, so what do you think would be better to use to get out of debt? I would sell your sealed stuff, even though that's probably the easiest thing to be lazy with. I would get rid of that first. If you have a bunch of raw stuff that you don't care about, maybe get rid of that first. That's what I'm trying to do. And then so I'm going to sell all my raw stuff, and then I'm going to sell the rest of my sealed stuff. I keep saying that, but also the market keeps going up. So I'm just like, I'll let the stupidity pay. But ultimately, I want to just get into slabs. Omega, even though Valkyries came out in 2018, I think they're from the original series. T-Beastie, Yu-Gi-Oh! Player scene is huge where I'm from, but collecting is almost untapped. Yeah, and that's what I'm happy about that because the player scene is great. They don't care about guys like me buying vintage cards that are really overpriced. And I'm happy that I can buy those cards still, and then it's not like Pokemon where some of the most craziest vintage Yu-Gi-Oh cards are still less than the price of some of these Grail PSA 9 cards, right? Like I'm not going to say some of the cards I'm looking at pulling the trigger on Yu-Gi-Oh because I need them and I can't be calling those out right now. But there's some cards that are significantly cheaper than my favorite cards in Pokemon, and I would get just as much enjoyment out of having those PSA 10 Yu-Gi-Oh cards in my collection. Maybe even more enjoyment because I can't believe I would even own them. You know, I like a lot of the reprints in Yu-Gi-Oh though. I don't I like I don't know. Um it's going to be crazy spending a ton of money on Yu-Gi-Oh because I've just never looked at it like that, right? Yu-Gi-Oh has always been more affordable, but for the first time ever right now Yu-Gi-Oh is vintage stuff is still it's under the radar, but it's getting up there. Twilight, if you're collecting Yu-Gi-Oh, why'd you sell your Harpy's pet dragon? Because and honestly, that was a really clean card. Like that PSA 8, even though it was only an 8, that was a really clean card. But the Harpy's Pet Dragon will go towards the next Grail, right? Whether that's going to be Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon. I also still have a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh raw. I kept a lot of my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh that's raw. Um, I'm like on the fence about whether I'm gonna sell some of these, but like some of my favorite cards, Dark Paladin's like one of my all-time favorites. Um, Celtic Guardian, right? All 5 pieces of Exodia, right? Those are some of the favorites. There's probably some other ones in here that I would just like to get in first edition. Let's see. There's a lot of good ones in here. Hold on. Where are the good ones? Where are the good ones? I mean, Red Eyes Black Dragon, extremely prolific artwork. If I could get this in first edition PSA 10, if I could get starter deck Joey, Red Eyes, first edition PSA 10. So, and I love those too, right? I don't really want to sell those either, but they're going to end up getting sold. So everything except for my starter decks is probably going to get sold, and I'm going to do Yu-Gi-Oh! The right way that I never got to do Pokemon. I'm going to sell all of my raw and Yu-Gi-Oh! Which I have all my Yu-Gi-Oh! Binders still. They're in the closet as well. I have all my Yu-Gi-Oh! Binders with like all the original first sets with like kind of lightly played, somewhat damaged cards. And that'll just be fun to flip through when I get bored. But I want to start Yu-Gi-Oh! The right way. I already made a lot of mistakes and a lot of failures collecting Pokemon cards. I'm not fucking doing that with Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm going balls to the wall, and I'm starting off by buying some of my favorite cards in PSA 10 first edition. I'm like super excited about that, and I'm hell-bent on it. So I'm going to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! But I'm not gonna ease into it the way that I did Pokemon. I feel more confident as a collector than ever. I'm going all in. I'm going to be buying some very expensive Yu-Gi-Oh cards soon that I've always wanted in my collection, but it's not a priority because Pokemon is so expensive and there's still so much I'm trying to do in Pokemon. But if I could find a way to just break into Yu-Gi-Oh and go ahead and make that first purchase, that would be a really cool video. And that would also show people that, one, I have good taste in Yu-Gi-Oh, and two, I'm going to practice what I preach, and I'm going to do the same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh soon. So, yeah, I got to figure out when I'm going to buy my first big Yu-Gi-Oh card. And I'm excited. I'm really excited because it's going to be a whole new thing, right? And it might even pull me away from Pokemon a little bit, which could make me a little bit, less aware of what's going on in this hobby. But the first thing is I need to start really looking at prices and getting well-versed in like what the actual market is on the cards that I'm looking to buy. Yeah, chat next time. T-Beastie, I want Blue Eyes, Red Eyes, and Dark Magician PSA 10 for sure. Firehawk was good. Fortress, Orion, don't worry. Once I get that Burger Chew BGS, I'll sell it to you one below market, but you can't sell it until it doubles, triples, 20% below market, so 8%. Appreciate it. Toasty, I think the Genesis format is going to help the Yu-Gi-Oh market. You know, it'd be crazy if people played Yu-Gi-Oh with like the slabs of those cards, right? People played with like first edition Grail cards, but the whole deck was just PSA slabs. How nutty would that be, guys? That would be so nutty. If you played with a PSA 10 first edition deck and it was just fucking stacked up to here with graded cards. Dude, that would be so wild. That'd be so wild. This would be like holding your hand. This would be holding your hand right here. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh was the player's game for me. I didn't play Pokemon with anybody. I traded Pokemon and then later on learned how to play Pokemon, but at that point, I was already well into Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah, and I don't collect any Magic the Gathering. But anyways, guys, we went 6 minutes over an hour. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you guys in here tonight. Pray for me. Pray for my back. Pray for me to get rid of this credit card debt like I always do. I got to keep grinding. This was a good week at work, so that'll be a good paycheck. But it might not be that way every week, so I shouldn't be so confident in things moving forward. But manifest, right? Manifest. I appreciate you guys popping out. If you haven't joined the Discord, we have a Discord link below. I'm all about you guys joining the Discord. Pop in. The link is below. First edition starter deck, Dark Magician in a 10 is a goal of mine. Dude, it's so nice. Fortress, you should pick up the Japanese Sabrina Gengar band artwork in a PSA 10 next, or even a 9. You really want me to pump that, don't you? Just enjoy it. Enjoy it. I might buy one eventually, though. I do like that band artwork. Anyways, guys, absolute pleasure. Let me know. Let me know in the Discord what Pokemon cards I should be looking at. But I already have a really good idea of the card that I'm going to buy first, and I'm even tempted to just go ahead and pull the trigger on it tonight. Like, yeah, it's going to hurt like hell, but it would be a huge step in the right direction for me, I think. Oh, God, Cream's art. Okay, peace out, everybody. I appreciate you guys popping out tonight. I'll see you guys on the next stream. Maybe we'll do one tomorrow or the next day. We'll see how late it is tomorrow.